let's start with what we call inadvertent dosing and zeroing. This is when dosing and zeroing is happening when you don't want it to. So, for example, this is most common when you're using a device like the Evolution, because what you're going to often be doing is doing treatments with, say, fMRSI, which has dosing and zeroing capabilities. And as you're treating, you may find that you get these doses and zeros. Now, the thing is unless you're looking for a dose and zero, you don't need to listen to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another 10-minute training. In this one, we're going to be talking about basic device tips and tricks that you should learn so that you're not confused when they come up, because they might. It will make things simpler and easier to understand. A lot of these aren't necessarily obvious things, okay? So first and foremost, let's start with what we call inadvertent dosing and zeroing. This is when dosing and zeroing is happening when you don't want it to. So, for example, this is most common when you're using a device like the Evolution, because what you're going to often be doing is doing treatments with, say, fMRSI, which has dosing and zeroing capabilities. And as you're treating, you may find that you get these doses and zeros. Now, the thing is unless you're looking for a dose and zero, you don't need to listen to it. So as you're painting with fMRSI, it's entirely possible that you will get doses, you will get zeros, same with 60 hertz, anything that has dosing and zeroing capacity. But if you are painting, if that is your goal, you ignore any doses and zeros. See, I just got a failed zero there, all the lights came on. I'm ignoring it. I'm not even taking it off and putting it back on. I'm just continuing to paint. That is the first trick. Now, this will happen with the Pinnacle light, the Pinnacle as well. It's totally a thing that can happen. It's just that you're less likely to be using, you have more specific modes for painting that you might be using that don't have dosing and zeroing capacity. But if it happens, same thing. You ignore it unless you want to experience it. Now, again, if you're going to be dosing and zeroing, you're going to be holding it in place on the area you want to treat, right? So that's when you're looking for the dose and zero to happen, okay? But if you were even using a mode like 60 hertz to do a 2-minute treatment, and you were just trying to treat, not dose and zero, you ignore it then as well. So that's something that gets a lot of people confused. So it's something that's really easy to kind of discuss up front here. Now, the next one is something that many people want to do, but they struggle to do it. And this is to override the timer and the beeps. Now, this is first off, not an intended feature for therapeutic use. Why might you want to do it? Well, if you're trying to, say, have a person sleep through the night with Alpha, the 7 to 12 hertz program, you might not want the device turning off. If you're even just trying to use it for the hour, but you're wanting to make sure that you're not getting a beep every 2 minutes, then you might want to mute that too. And so the process for completing this is actually fairly simple. But it can take a little bit of time. And the reason it can take a bit of time is because, again, this is not an intended feature. So if you do get this to work, it's not an intended feature for treatment, I should say. It is an intended feature for testing. And so it's not necessarily the easiest thing to turn on. But no matter which device you use, you're going to have a plus and a minus button on it. And both of these are key to turning this feature on, where you override the timer where it shuts off after an hour, and you override the beeps. So how do you complete this? Well, the easiest thing to do is to place your device on a flat surface, not a box that you're holding in the air, typically a desk or something, and you're going to hold the plus and minus buttons down. You push them down with the device switched off. Now, what this will typically mean is the device will do this, and this will give you the pressure you need on it to be able to get it to work. Now, I can't do this up here because I need both hands here. But with this pressed down, okay, so you've activated this, you are then going to, while pressing it down against that hard surface, turn the device on. You're going to flip the power. Now, at that point, you can let go of these buttons. You will get a beep. And if it worked, you won't hear another beep after the 2 minutes, and the timer will not shut off. If you are doing this with a Pinnacle light or a Pinnacle that has a screen, there is, for a very split second, a thing that comes up on the screen that says sound off, timer off, if you do this correctly, okay? So if this is a feature you're trying to use, do keep in mind it's not intended for medical use, but if you're wanting to use it for whatever reason, even if it's like running a PEMF for a long period of time or running a scaler for a long period of time, that is how you do it, okay? And that hard surface really makes a difference. If you're trying to hold it like this, it doesn't always get the same pressure as it does when it's placed down on that hard surface. Okay, so that is another thing that can really help as a quick device tip. One of the most common issues that happens for people is their batteries need changing. And it's not necessarily evident what that looks like. So when it does happen, particularly with an Evolution or Genesis 2 or a device without a screen, it sends people into a little bit of a panic. Because what you'll typically see is you'll turn your device on and maybe it will work for a little bit, maybe 10 seconds, maybe a minute. As soon as you start treatment or you increase the power, you'll start to get like a series of loud do-do-do-do-do's and different lights will flash on and off. This is not a warning it's going to explode warning. This is a change your batteries warning. So go on in, check your batteries, switch them out with a fresh pair. Always worth doing more than one pair. If the first pair you change it to doesn't fix it, try another one. Sometimes batteries impacts can be duds. All it takes is one dud battery and the whole thing won't work. So give it a second batch attempt because sometimes that fixes it too. And if obviously there's an issue beyond that, contact us and we will help you out. Now, if you have a Pinnacle light or a Pinnacle device, your device, when it is on low batteries, when you turn it on, will say low battery across the screen. So that's a little bit more obvious. But it definitely can send people into a bit of a spiral that their device is broken. Changing the batteries is one of those things that if you're feeling like your device isn't working correctly for whatever reason, if it's being weird, change the batteries. 9 times out of 10, that tends to help. One battery being out of whack versus the other can cause problems too. So you want to make sure you got that power source dialed in. Okay, so the next is what is a comfortable power level? So we get this question a lot. At what point do you know when a comfortable power level is, and why does it change over time? Well, you know what a comfortable power level is when you can perceive it. This means you're either feeling a gentle tingle or just a buzzing, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable. If it's gotten to the point where it's irritating or it's too strong, then this is too high and you want to lower this. And so we will adjust treatment over time. Typically, you might start while you need a higher level of power. And as the treatment continues to go in, you're adding more electricity to the cells and they're starting to spark up and start working properly again. They are going to start feeling things. There's more electricity and more energy in that area, so there's going to be more sensation. So it is absolutely normal to take a comfortable power level and lower it as treatment progresses. That is more typical than raising it. And it's all about keeping it comfortable. Comfortable is where you want to be. Anything else just is not really worth it, okay? Unless the protocol specifically says to go above comfortable. I think there's maybe 2 that do that, maybe 3. So for the most part, we want to hit that comfortable threshold and maintain it. Know that your energy levels shifting will alter that, and that is totally okay as well. Okay, last tip for this video. If that is something that fits, removing the batteries doesn't fix, it's going to be recalibrating the device. These are all steps you can take to prevent yourself having to send something in for maintenance if you're concerned about it. So this is a little bit similar to shutting off the features of the timer and the beeps, but it's done while the device is on. So what we're going to do here, and this is the same with all devices, we're going to hold the plus and the minus button down firmly. I'm just going to make sure it's hard doing things backwards in the mirror there. All right, so we're going to hold these down firmly and we're going to wait about 10 seconds, okay? So hold on and watch and listen. So not even 10 seconds, it takes about 5. You hear a series of beeps. That tells you that the device has been recalibrated, okay? It's like a do, if you didn't hear that because my microphone didn't pick it up. Now, with the Pinnacle light and the Pinnacle, for example, it's going to be a bit quicker. So, and you might not see this because of the glare, but essentially you hold these buttons down and it will instantly say calibrated on the screen. This just essentially recalibrates it in the open air. And it is really giving like a mini reset to your device. Like think of it like a factory restart, right? So it is a good option there for if you're concerned, if you're not feeling it as well as you used to, and you're wondering if something's gone wrong with it, or you've taken it to a humid climate and then you've come back to a dry climate. It can be a good option to do it then too. So those are just some tips. There's probably many more. Those are just some basic tips that can help you understand how to use your device and save you time in trying to troubleshoot them if something is going on. Okay. So hopefully you found this useful. As a practitioner, as a home user, this is going to be something that you can implement to actually assist you in getting the most from your device. Because if you're wasting time thinking this isn't working, or this isn't how this is working, or how do I do this, you're missing out on time. You could be living your life pain-free and utilizing this therapy. So thank you everyone for joining me. I will see you next week for another 10-minute training.